keep learning and keep yourself updated that what all latest is happening not only in your particular field but also in the connected areas.
Correct. Designing your life is the process of taking control your thoughts, action, and decision to create the life that you truly want. This can involve setting goals, developing a plan to achieve them, and taking action to make those goals a reality. It is important to keep in mind that life is a work of progress and you are the designer. You are responsible for the choices you make and the action you take. By being intentional about designing your life, you can create a happier, more fulfilling existence. The key is to focus on what truly matters to you and work towards that with purpose and passion. Whether it's a career change, a new hobby, or a simple finding more balance in your life, designing your life is the first step towards living a life that truly matters to you. Hello and welcome to the Honest Talk by Feek folks. I'm Harsh Pandey. For this particular session, we have with us very special guest today, Ajitabh Sharma sir. He is an IAS officer from the 1996 batch and belongs to the Rajasthan cadre. He has 26 years of the experience in the Indian Administrative Service. Currently, he is serving as the chairman and the managing director of Jaipur City Transport Limited. He has previously held the position of chairman of the Rajasthan Tax Board and the chairman and the managing director of Jaipur Metro Rail Corporation. Also, he has worked in the various sectors such as water, energy, mining, finance, and has served as the district collector in the 5 different districts. He often writes for various newspapers on issues related to the water, energy, and sustainability. He holds a BTech degree in civil engineering from the IIT and has been facilitated for the contribution to the public service by the Hon'ble President of India in the year 2012, the Honorable Vice President of India in the year 2003, and the Chief Minister of Rajasthan 2013 and the Union Minister of Water Resource 2015. Under his current role as the chairman and managing director of Jaipur City Transport Service Limited, he is working on developing electric mobility ecosystem for public transport for Jaipur city. So first of all, sir, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and actually agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Yeah, good morning, Harsh. Thank you so much for inviting me today and giving this opportunity to have a free and frank discussion with you.
Thank you, sir. It's actually my pleasure. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is designing your life. So moving to the question, like first question I have got is like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Is the question that we constantly asked as kids and are expected to have an answer for. How is in the world a kid is supposed to know what he or she truly wants to become when they haven't even scratched the surface of life itself? Some people believe it's ironic. So I want to know your thoughts on this, sir. It's a kind of a request. Please share all your views on this. And also, there's a request like, what does it mean to you, like designing your life?
Okay. Okay, Harsh, so it's a very complex and elaborate question. So in what context, you want to know about like how designing life is? Is it about students or people who are on the verge of choosing their career or who are sitting in civil services examinations or who are wanting a job shift, or is it regarding a small child or school going kid? What
Let's uh,
exactly is
let's
the
uh, let's keep this generic. So we may start like when majorly people decide their career, or parent often asked to decide the career when the student actually get in grade 10 or 12. So I think we can keep it in more in generic ways.
Okay. So, like to this question, I don't think there is any correct answer. Like it is very difficult to
Correct.
answer the question in yes or no or anything like right or wrong, that whether a small child or even a student in 10th or 11th grade is supposed to know that what he wants to do in life. But yes, like as what you mentioned, I would say it is a little bit ironic sometimes, but actually what matters is the context in which this question is normally posed. Say like if
True.
it's a 5 or 6 year old boy or a girl, and if the father or the mother, the parents or anyone known in the family ask the child that what do you want to do in your life. So I think it is more a kind of inquisitiveness of knowing about the child, the boy or the girl or the son or the daughter, that how does he or she feels, that what she want to become. So the child has a very less experience about what all is happening around in the world. So his or her life is simply focused towards the family, is around the parents or the near and dear ones, like the other family members, the members in the extended family, or a few of the childhood, some of the childhood friends. So basically, to that extent, I think it is not ironical. So it is generally, this question is like asked that what are the likings of the child, what he or she likes, what his or her interests are. So how he or she observes the surroundings or feels about the things happening around her, what is his or her state of mind. So normally that question we also ask sometimes our children, that like, do you want to become, or what do you would like to do future in your career. So it is more related to that. So there is no right or wrong answer. But yes, when a child grows up, like if he's on the verge of finishing the senior secondary school, or going to the undergrad school, or maybe even after that looking for the post graduation, yes, certainly in that context, so the question becomes very pertinent and important too. So and when that question is replied, so sometimes it becomes difficult even for a grown-up person to answer this question, that what he or she wants to do in his or her life, because whatever the aspirations are, so whatever is there in the mind, sometimes we are not able to achieve those objectives or goals which we had set for ourselves. So it becomes difficult to answer. But according to me, in totality, what I feel is that, like, as you spoke about designing your life. So in the early phase of the life, most part of the life gets designed by default, like in what kind of family you are born, and what kind of exposure you got. What was the the knowledge which is available, which you have, what are the extracurricular activities in which you could involve yourself. So it gets designed by default, and your qualities and personality traits would come out from whatever that limited exposure you had. But subsequently, what I feel is that, and one more thing, it is mostly your internal environment and the external environment to which you are exposed. So when I talk about internal, I mean the weaknesses and strengths, because we know, like you also must be knowing, and I also know what are my weaknesses and strengths as of now, and what they were 15 or 20 years ago, and or what they were when I was a school student. So that is internal to me, my weaknesses and strengths. So they play a very important part and role in how I am able to design myself. And then there are certain things which are external to yourself, like which we normally call in the business world like something threats and opportunities. They are external to yourself. What opportunities I have been able to get, and what were so-called like threats or challenges or problems a particular person or individual face during the lifetime. So both these things, the weaknesses and strengths, and the threats and opportunities. So it's a mix of whole thing, that within these parameters you end up designing your life, and how you have been able to tackle both these four, two internal aspects of your life and two external aspects of your life. So that is why you can make attempts to design your life. And when you grow with your experience, and when you gain knowledge, and when you are exposed to different circumstances and situations, how you have handled them, you learn quite a lot. So I think it's an ongoing process, designing your life. So whatever parameters and constraints and opportunities you have, you end up in designing best of the part or of your life out of these circumstances.
No, indeed, sir. I think you have tackled this question in a very beautiful way, and I'm sure the people those who are watching this question like session, they are going to find this very meaningful. Actually, answer like I have got the next question, but before actually discussing the next question, many people believe like society has molded us into such a narrow one-dimensional way of thinking because we were raised to believe that the only way to prosperity was to choose a career path and to work our up that later. Don't you think we are always encouraged to chase money and job titles, but never pushed to evaluate and consider what we actually want our lifestyle to look like? And choosing a career, like it's really one of the important decision one take in his or her life. So I want you to know your opinion. What are the crucial steps which one should consider, like while choosing the career?
Okay, yeah. Again, so basically, what I feel personally, you may not agree with me or others may not agree with me, but what I personally feel is that what actually you aspire or desire, again, that it's an ongoing and evolving process. It keeps on changing, and the more mature you become, your aspirations and desires in life also keep changing. But broadly speaking, so again, there are two aspects like uh, how do you perceive yourself as an emotional and intellectual being? One is that. So, how you pursue your intellectual satisfaction or emotional satisfaction, both with regard to stability and able to be more emotionally strong in handling situations and circumstances. One is that aspect. Again, that is quite internal to you. And another thing is that the responsibilities which you have, they are in a way
Right.
external to you. So, but both things are connected. So the responsibility in terms of your like family towards maybe your like parents and spouse and children, maybe your extended family, or how do you perceive the responsibilities in the time horizon, like your responsibilities as of now in the present, and your responsibilities because they would certainly change like after 5 years or 10 years or when your kids grow up, or your responsibilities when you get old, like if even then you have to take care of few things. So these are the things, basically it is mix of both, again, like your emotional and intellectual satisfaction as an individual being, and the responsibilities which extends something out of you, which is something beyond you being an individual human being or a person. So it's a balance of both these aspects. You decide to choose a career. Like if there is a person who do not intend to like raise a family and want to pursue some of his artistic passion, like if he wants to become a painter or if he wants to pursue some kind of other professional field, so maybe he would not want to like own large number of responsibilities for future times to come. So then he would be leading his life in a different way. He would be choosing his career in a different manner. But if there is a person who has got number of responsibilities to take care of, then his choice of deciding or taking up a career would be slightly different. Then
Right.
the responsibility aspect of his life would outweigh the emotional and intellectual satisfaction as an individual being. That is what I feel. And how do you balance it out, and how do you weigh these different aspects? So sometimes you end up, like you said, that we end up in chasing big pay packets and high salaried jobs and are not looking at what exactly or actually we want from within. So these are the questions, these are the dilemmas which arise. And considering all these aspects, then a person chooses his or her career path. That is what I feel. I
This
hope
is
that answers your.
no, yes, absolutely, sir. I think you have answered this in very well way, and I'm really very impressed because you have tackled this like in a very balanced way, and I'm sure the people those who are watching they will be finding this meaningful in the same way. Answer my next question, like it's very related to this. So I want you to ask like how your life choices will always reflect your morals and beliefs, and how they will aid you in making a deliberate choice on what is important to you. I think you have covered this question in your last answer, but it would be like, let's be more specific into this.
Okay, yeah. So broadly connected to what we have already discussed or what I have
Yes.
already spoken, but see, actually, choices depend on the situations which occur or the circumstances which occur before you, and your choices determine your actions. So, what you choose, you act accordingly. So, in most of the cases, and these actions basically impact you yourself, and also your surroundings, the other beings in different contexts. So the choices you make not only impact you as a person, so but also the surroundings, the other people. So certainly, when you make choices, so broadly again, like certain choices we make is because of the social norms or the legal structures or the frameworks which we exist. So per force, you have to make those choices. Like it is as simple as saying that following a set of traffic rules. So you are expected and you are supposed to make those particular choices which are being laid out as traffic rules. But when you extend this your particular point of making choices beyond the legal framework or the statutory expectations which exist, so then it comes to that what exactly society wants or expects you to behave.
True.
So there I think what you are trying to mention about the values and morals comes in. So in that case, if it is not codified, then your choices would help you in making or taking decisions as per the moral values or the societal expectations are that how an individual should be behaving. And they do certainly help you a lot of times when there are moral or ethical dilemmas you normally try to pursue and follow. So what society expects out of us, what are the moral values, they though they are not codified, but uh, traditionally they have been passed upon us from one generation to another, and this firms up our belief system also. So that helps in making choices. I think it was a difficult question, but I have been able to touch upon what exactly
Absolutely.
you are wanting to know about it. So yeah.
No, you have covered this. And next question like I have is we all know because it is more related to entrepreneurship, and like after the COVID wave hit us, we all started talking about entrepreneurship, and India is like creating unicorn every month. So it is a huge success, and but also we need to seriously discuss this thing because any career path requires training, whether you are an accountant, an office manager, or an airline pilot, or let's consider doctor, lawyer. So we consider becoming an entrepreneur is no different. The skills required to be good at entrepreneurship are not exclusive. They can be all applied almost to any field of work. So my question to you is like, do you support the idea of entrepreneurial teaching as a part of higher education?
Yeah, I fully agree, and it is already there in as part of higher education in
Yes.
number of institutes and universities, and more so abroad. But now there are a number of Indian universities and colleges also which are more into this kind of entrepreneurship teaching or education or training. And what I feel is that in the current scenario, where the whole economy is like, particularly when we talk about Indian economy, it's very vibrant and it's growing at a very fast pace. And particularly in the
Yes.
current era of globalization and information technology, we are getting closer and closer. And there is spate and huge attempt from different quarters, like not only from individuals but different institutes or think tanks or colleges or industry houses and businesses and financial markets, who are trying to find easy and fast solutions to the real world problems which we face. So, and entrepreneurship is basically about like combining the resources and creating value out of it,
Correct.
while solving a kind of problem which was being posed to the entrepreneur. So when we talk about it, so it's a kind of a skill, and particularly in this new set of circumstances which have arisen because of globalization and the new real world problems or the challenges which we face, and disruptions are happening like now and then. The rate of disruptions in businesses and industry is very fast, even in areas like education and medical science, and business disruptions are happening very fast. So to make these things more smooth, I think entrepreneurship related teaching or training is must, and it should be added like at least more aggressively in the higher education sector. I think it is
True,
much
actually.
needed. It will be
No,
a
actually,
big, particularly to the budding entrepreneurs.
correct. And I think the both like government sector and private sector both is actually working hard in this regard, and they are setting up the incubation center all over the country. And this actually a phenomenal job they have done. And so my next question to you is like in good colleges we have seen the culture of student organization and societies which operate similar to the corporate organization. And a student organization offers experience that cannot he one can had in a classroom environment, and offer the opportunity to grow both personally and professionally. And also a student organization gives the opportunity to network within a specific employers market or with other students with similar interests. So my question to you is, it will be not related to just a student organization or something, but my question to be very generic, like how do you define the importance of networking in both personal and professional life?
So yeah, again, networking it is a reality. It is a reality of life today, and particularly again, I would come back to my previous point that when we talk about globalization, so all businesses and financial markets are networked now across the
Correct.
world, and because of information technology, socially also we are networked, and the characteristics and basic features of both these different aspects, globalization and the inroad of information technology in our social lives, is increasing like anything. So we are already networked, so we cannot avoid networking. But the only point which I would like to add here is that, so you spoke about personal and professional life both, right?
Correct. Right.
So when we talk about like both, maybe personal life or professional life, in that case, what we have to be very careful is that the way we are networked. So networking is not only about social media. The way you are
Yes.
networked, like in different contexts. So when we talk about the knowledge areas, how you are networked in different knowledge areas, how you are networked to enhance your skills, how you are networked even for recreation or your intellectual upliftment, how you are networked. So I feel is that there is no harm or problem in remaining networked. One should rather, otherwise you will be left behind.
Correct.
But only thing about which we have to be very careful is that whether this networking is creating or adding value in ourselves, both in our personal life and professional life, or it is a kind of diminution in your value, or is it reducing your value. So, and there are ways, and certainly that is what, like, if two people network, both can gain out of it. It is not necessary that if one gains, then other has to lose. It can be a win-win game. So
Yes.
we have to be very careful that how that networking is adding to more value in our lives, both personally and professionally. It should not be like that we are simply wasting the time and it is creating more of like acrimony or creating conflicts, and then we are
Correct.
getting restless and your mind is getting
True.
diverted. So we have to be very careful while we communicate and interact through different kind of networks, both physical and virtual, and certainly networking saves a lot of time, because it saves a lot of cost also sometimes, because if you are properly networked, if you are a kind of business organization, then things become easy for you. Your transaction costs would come down.
Yes,
Your transaction
actually,
time. Similar is about the networking, when like you spoke about student organizations, or the networking or connect between the industrial houses, business houses, and the universities or the student organizations. They do help. So you cannot afford to stay away or remain aloof
no,
from these networks. But you have to be very careful. You have to be aware, and you have to be observant that where your energy and resources are getting diverted or pumped into. Those networks should be creating some kind of value for yourself, and if possible, then you should also be creating value for the others. So it should become a kind of synergy and a win-win scenario for everyone.
exactly. I think this is really a very wonderful answer. And I would say, and sir, I can say there's a lot more to learn from you, but today we are a sort of a time. So I would not take more time. So it's a kind of a request at last, like what would be one piece of advice would you like to give to our viewers? Majorly, like we have audience base from the age group of 19 to 35. So what will be one piece of advice from your side to them?
Okay, yeah. So one piece of advice, like in what context? Because then
Maybe related to career development.
yeah. So my one piece of advice, or rather the first advice, would always be to like keep learning, like keep growing, because you'll be short of time, and lot many of times you would be short of resources also, and you would be preoccupied in your different things in both in your personal and professional life. But one should never stop growing. One should never stop learning more things. Maybe like enhancing the skill set in your professional domain, or maybe something which gives you more kind of intellectual satisfaction.
Yes.
And I say this because the new world which we see, so like when we were students, and not what we see now, it is something entirely different. So as you very rightly mentioned, that everything is networked now. So, and the solutions to the problems which we are trying to find, both like as even as policymakers, or even the business houses, or if any like investor is looking to make some investment in some new kind of venture, then now everything has become a kind of multidisciplinary kind of domain. It has kind of multidisciplinary characteristics and aspects. So it is very important to be aware about what in general is happening around in different sectors, because everything is connected. So even if like you are into like a kind of say, if you are a history professor, or if you are teaching history, then there are other things which are connected with this particular subject. If you are an engineer, then you need to know about the management skills too, because then you are concerned, like you are concerned about the sustainability issues, you are concerned about environment, you are concerned about the legal or regulatory frameworks. So you cannot only remain an engineer to be a good engineer. You have to be something more than that. So that is why my first advice and most important advice always is that keep learning and keep yourself updated, that what all latest is happening, not only in your particular field, but also in the connected areas.
Correct. This is really a very wonderful. Yes, this is really a very wonderful piece of advice, and I'm sure the viewers who are watching this session, they are going to find this meaningful. And I would say this is really a great session with you. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your important time. And we will find more opportunities to do such kind of a session. And it was really a very wonderful interacting with you.
Thank you, Harsh. Thank you.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside. I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside. I'm alone.